As many of you know, I retired in December of 2015 after working corporate America's rat race for a number of years. At first it was really, really cool not to have anything that I really had to do. But after a while, sitting around the house got very boring. It became obvious to me that I did not know how to be retired. It seemed I always needed a project or a job to do. I needed a purpose, a reason to get up every morning. I began to volunteer more and more at the TLC Humane Society here in Dahlonega, and I was slated to become the president of this wonderful church. So pretty soon my calendar was filled to the brim. But something was missing. Something down deep inside was calling to me, but I struggled to hear it. This was further complicated by the emotional distress caused by losing my parents, my aunt, and so many longtime friends within like a 2 or 3 year period of time. I was one angry person on the inside and didn't even realize it. We're surrounded by nature almost everywhere we go. A budding young redbud tree, a patch of bright yellow daffodils, a red cardinal in a bush, and I could just go on and on. There's an innocence to be seen and felt when taking in all the stunning beauty nature brings to life all around us. Most of us are so busy living our lives, rushing around from one commitment to another, wondering when we might get a chance to catch our breath, that we often fail to notice. Our minds are constantly racing through all the tasks that must get done, pushing and pulling. I am sure all of you can relate to what I'm saying. Then, of course, there's the television, electronic gadgets, advertising, politics, traffic, work, all competing for our time and attention. When you stop and think about it, the world is a very noisy and demanding place. I asked myself, how do I find that something that seems to be missing? I decided to start walking the reservoir here in Dahlonega a couple times a week, more for exercise than anything else. And before long, I was walking it 5 days a week and absolutely loving it. I had never really done any hiking, but I was finding that being in the woods gave me a sense of freedom from all the chaos in the world. I was given an incredible book entitled Grandma Gatewood's Walk. And after reading it, I knew that I wanted to walk where she had walked. It was 1955, and Grandma Gatewood was 67 years old. She had raised 11 children, who in turn gave her 23 grandchildren, and was married to a man who was very abusive, both physically and mentally. But she loved to walk, and would very often walk 10 miles just to visit a friend. Grandma Gatewood knew the day would come when she would leave her past behind. There were news that a few people were hiking the entire Appalachian Trail, at which time was 2,050 miles long from Mount Oglethorpe, Georgia, to Mount Katahdin in Maine. When the time was right at age 67, she sewed herself a denim drawstring bag, packed a few necessities into it, and told her family that she was going for a walk. She failed to mention how long a walk she had in mind, but she took off. Off she went in a pair of Keds sneakers, overalls, and she had a shower curtain to keep the rain off. Okay. Today the Appalachian Trail begins here at Springer Mountain here in Dahlonega and is 2,189 miles long to Mount Katahdin in Maine. And every year, 4,000 to 5,000 people descend on Springer Mountain to begin an adventure of a lifetime. But I can tell you, they don't carry a shower curtain, and they definitely don't wear Keds sneakers, and only about 10% actually finish the entire trail. Spurred on by the Grandma Gatewood story, I read and listened to a number of other books written by people who had hiked the entire trail. Wow, this sounded exciting. I added a 35-pound backpack to my walks around the reservoir and started searching the internet for information about long-distance hiking, the equipment I would need, and I even joined the Georgia Appalachian Trail Club. I needed experience. I needed to start training immediately. Kathy gave me an REI guided hike for my birthday, where I hiked in the Smokies for 4 days and came home even more determined than ever that I would take on the AT, the Appalachian Trail. By the 2017 new year, I had committed myself to the journey, and by early spring had set a start date. My excitement grew as this date to start this journey approached. There was eagerness and fear, anticipation. Could I do this? What would it be like to live in the woods for months and spend my days walking? My nights in a shelter or a tent? Would I be able to do it? Why attempt to hike over 2,000 miles, you ask? It's a good question. I wanted to see who I am when I'm deprived of all the soft comforts. I wanted a sort of sabbatical from life to seek and search, and to better know me. Hiking the Appalachian Trail sounded like much more fun than meditation, yoga, or therapy. My adventure began the end of May 2017 in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. I woke early, donned my carefully packed backpack, grabbed my trekking poles, and set out to experience nature in a way that I had never taken the time to do before. How exciting, how scary, how crazy. It took several weeks for the initial adrenaline rush to begin to calm, but I still had that gotta hurry up and knock out more miles mentality. I mean, after all, that's all I've really ever known to do, right? So who has time to look at the trees and smell the forest, listen to the birds? I got miles to walk. Each day brought the same routine. Make more miles, haul the pack, eat the same foods, find water, traverse the ever-changing wilderness and find a place to sleep at night. Each day, the ever-changing wilderness brought new sights, elevation challenges, river crossings, blowdowns, unstable rocks, and there was the soft duff that quiets your steps in the great stillness all around you. Vistas that cause your heart to race and your breath to catch. Waterfalls, rivers and springs that teach you that water is life, water is sacred. After a while, Mother Nature had my full attention. She planted boulder fields, steep climbs, rocky trails, mud, rain, and whatever else she could think of in my path. Her goal was simple: to teach me that this adventure was not about how fast I could go, but more about the actual journey itself. As the days went by and I got into the rhythm of walking, I began to really see and hear the wilderness. Beautiful butterflies would dart all around me as I walked, the deep blue in their wings, the delicate and graceful dance as they fluttered all about. My goodness, they were so beautiful. They reminded me for the first time I met Kathy of home, of family, and I found great comfort as I watched them. In the early mornings, I would walk to the sound of nature's orchestra as a host of different birds sang their songs, talked to one another, chirped and trilled. They sounded so happy, and they filled me with so much gladness. There was one bird that I heard every day, and after a while I was certain that the same bird was following me. Now logically, I know it was not the same bird, but because I heard her every day, I came to know that through that bird's song, my mother was watching over me. This filled me with such joy that I would catch myself smiling while I was walking, and it tickled me. While the butterflies danced and the birds sang their songs, there was also the physical and mental challenge of keeping my body moving forward. Some days my feet hurt so bad, I just wanted to sit down and not walk another step. Oops, not an option. Middle of nowhere. As the days went by, I found myself feeling stronger, more confident, and more determined, so the climbing seemed a bit easier. I'm sleeping in a tent. I'm eating one hot meal a day, usually couscous with tuna, or mashed potatoes with tuna, or couscous with tuna, mashed potatoes with tuna. Filtering water from streams, essentially living in the woods, and absolutely loving it. The noisy world is far away. I can hear my heart beating. I can feel the blood pumping through my body. I can smell the scent of nature, clean and fresh. I'm at peace. I have often wondered what being in the present would be like. You know, where you allow your mind to just be. No intrusions, no reruns of past episodes, just seeing and feeling Mother Nature in all her majesty and letting her take you places where you experience the divine. I think I have a pretty good idea after 1,021 miles. While Mother Nature provides endless beauty and serenity, she can also humble you, and I do mean humble you. She can be harsh, dangerous, demanding, and unpredictable. When I set out to walk over 2,000 miles, I could only imagine what walking through the woods for days might be like, and I had no idea. Intense thunderstorms, lightning, wind, cold, wet clothes, wet shoes, snakes, bears, porcupines. Yes, porcupines. Apparently they will steal your shoes, eat your trekking poles, and anything else that has your sweat on it, they will run off with it. So everything has to go high in the shelter. Yeah, that was a good one. It is much easier to imagine walking 2,000 miles than it is to actually do it. Get that? When I left on this adventure, I had no way of knowing just how much I would be challenged and what I would learn about myself. I'd read about trail magic where people provide food and drinks, maybe a ride into town. And my first bit of trail magic came on about the 4th or 5th day on the trail. A woman and her husband had set up a tent, a canopy, and they were cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, both beef and beef, or turkey and turkey, whichever you wanted, for all the hikers. It was amazing. So it's like, So I had a hamburger, I had a hot dog, I had a banana, you know, and was very, very glad. And I finally understood how trail magic would make you feel. Only it gets better and better the longer you're out there. It was a welcome sight. There were dozens of trail magic encounters throughout the entire trip. Watermelon in a cooler, soft drinks, beer, apples, cupcakes, Gatorade, and the list goes on. One thing about long distance hiking is that I could eat as much as I wanted. I forgot to sort the slides, I'm sorry. I just remembered it. One thing about long distance hiking is that I could eat as much as I wanted and I did not worry about soft drinks being diet. Every 5 days or so, it was time to go into a town, resupply, shower, find a restaurant. It amazed me at how much I could eat and not feel full. Candy bars, trail mix with extra M&Ms, dried fruit. If I was willing to carry it, I could eat it. There was a little general store in Iron Forge, Pennsylvania, where it is a tradition among hikers to eat an entire half-gallon of ice cream in one sitting. I did it. And it was delicious.
Which
and it was fun. And it was chocolate.
Oh, man.
So it was awesome. A typical day went like this. Wake up, get dressed, sometimes in cold, damp clothes. Retrieve food bag that was hung in a tree or on a bear pole. Pack everything into backpack. Replenish water supply. Lace up your shoes and start walking. Replenish water supply. Unpack everything. Set up a tent. Fix a hot meal. Hang food. And crawl into bed exhausted. Repeat. The last 1/10 of a mile always seemed like 5 miles at the end of every day. It's like, are we ever going to get there? The long distance hike is an individual hike. The distance does not matter. Do you think that you fail in life if you don't reach the age of 100? Boredom on the trail will come and go, but it's not a reason to quit. Challenges on the trail will come and go, but it's not a reason to end the hike. The length of the trail is arbitrary. You cannot take 2,000 miles home with you. When you reach fullness with yourself, when you experience joy and contentment while you are walking all day, day in and day out, you have reached a goal you can take home with you. The answer about the length of your hike lies within. I left on this adventure not knowing what to expect, not even sure I would last the first week. But I did last. I did overcome. I surprised myself on many occasions, and thanks to Mother Nature, I also left behind some very unwanted baggage. Even though the wilderness is challenging and sometimes threatening, life is very simple. You get up in the morning, you pack everything you own in a backpack that you strap on your back, and you walk. At the end of the day, you unpack your belongings, eat a hot meal, and go to bed, too tired to do anything else. The mind and the heart have uninterrupted time to cleanse themselves of hurt and angry feelings and thoughts that are a burden. Mother Nature is so beautiful, so powerful, so awe-inspiring, that joy and gladness, gratitude and humility replace your heavy burden. I think I finally understand mindfulness of being in the present. When I find myself sitting high up on a mountain looking out over the beautiful and endless expanse of nature, it is hard to think about anything else. I want to be in that spot. I want to feel the wind on my face, the warmth of the sun. I want to breathe in the clean air and think only about the beauty before me. In that moment, there is absolutely nothing else. Grandma Gatewood completed the Appalachian Trail 3 times. She was 77 years old when she completed it the 3rd time. There's hope for everybody. She also hiked the Oregon Trail from Missouri to Portland at age 72. While I did not complete the entire trail in one trip, I can certainly understand how and why someone would want to do it more than once. What was missing? Forgiveness. Not only the forgiving of others, but the forgiving of myself. Forgiveness lets go of anger, resentment, and self-loathing. Once these burdens are released, they're replaced with a sense of contentment, appreciation, love, and freedom. I'm not done yet. I hope to walk 725 miles this summer and finish the 443 miles of New Hampshire and Maine next summer. I look forward to continued enlightenment and even greater freedom. Now, you do not have to walk 2,000 miles to experience the healing touch of Mother Nature. Go for a walk in the woods. Take a drive on a really scenic road. Sit in your backyard. Reach out to Mother Nature and allow her to touch your heart, slow your mind, and refresh your spirit. May it be so.